Welcome to the Louie Herron podcast, where I'm going deep into business, sales, leadership, and life. And I mean life, from the boardroom to the bedroom, from business acquisitions to personal addictions, from being saved yet still feeling like a slave, from manning up to mousing out, dealing with divinity to reality. This podcast is dedicated to growth, learning, inspiration, and healing. Jump in, hang on, and hang out. You'll never know which topic I'll tackle next. But one thing's for certain, I'm here to share my experiences, strengths, failures, and hope, all to help us live life at the highest level we can. What's going on, guys? Check the mic, this thing on, ready to rock and roll. Hope this week has been a good week for you as we begin another week. Last week's episode, I hope you enjoyed, just really talking about how to be unstuck, talked about being unfucked, really working our way towards course correcting. Here we are again, another opportunity to course correct. You know, I told you guys that I would bring you a solid, straight business podcast this week, and that's what I intend to do. You know, when I put this podcast together, my heart, my passion, and my soul really revolves around leadership. It revolves around teaching, coaching, training, inspiring, encouraging, motivating, not only myself, right? Not only me, but those that hear the words that come out of my mouth. I love to just light a match and trigger some things that maybe need to be addressed, some things within your life that are important to you that you've had issues overcoming. Some of that, obviously, we talk about in sales, the sales game. Some of it's the business game. Some of it's the relational game. Some of it's the physical body and mental health game. Some of it is your financial game. Not enough zeros in the bank, make you feel a little uncomfortable. Not enough money to make, to save, to multiply, right? A lot of people miss that last piece is we learn how to make some money. Don't do a phenomenal job sometimes in saving the money. And even if we do save, try to find areas that we can multiply the money. And I think so many times when you see so much on social media or you hear people on podcasts and, you know, we listen to a lot of influential guys. I listen to a lot of influential guys. I think it's important to grow. I don't have all the answers. So I look to a lot of guys that go before me that have been successful, right? I mean, that's the whole concept of what are they doing? How are they doing it? And I think we have to really be cautious and careful that if you don't have your main business in line, whatever that may be, and I think the main business is you as an individual. If you don't have yourself in line to be able to build your business, right? You may employ some people, you may be working towards getting your own business. If you don't have that in line to be able to amass the income you need to be able to save the income, to be able to reinvest it, because ultimately what we want to do is we don't want to trade hours for dollars. And most of you listen to the podcast, you know, even like myself, you're trading hours for dollars. Like you're working to make a substantial amount of money or not enough money. But you're giving up 60 hours a week to do it, or 40 hours a week, or 90 hours a week. And I do believe there's a time and place where all of us, to achieve greatness from a financial aspect, to achieve greatness in a relational aspect, to achieve greatness in your spirituality and your physical health, it's going to take some hours, right? There's no way you're going to get your body looking phenomenal, trim, tight, dense, health-wise, internally, externally, if you're not putting in the time. So I'm by no means saying that, you know, there's something for nothing or Tim Ferriss on a 4-hour work week. I don't know how that's done, but I do know that the quest and what we all aspire to, I would imagine, is a sense of financial security so we can have some family security to do some things with our family and enjoy life. So many times we're pushing so hard to achieve that the enjoyment's not there, right? Or we're not able to take the time to enjoy ourselves. So again, hopefully if you guys hear this podcast and you've heard my podcast in the past and you know of some other men that need encouragement, need inspiration, need some direction, need some drive, someone to kick them in the ass a little bit, somebody to really just get them going, share this, man. Let them hear maybe what's triggered you and inspired you. And even if you hadn't been inspired or triggered, share it with someone else because somebody else may receive it differently. And I think ultimately that's just the greatest form of reciprocity. If you guys could share the podcast, love for you guys to leave a review. That'd be awesome. In the meantime, whether you share or you don't share, I'm gonna keep bringing the heat. It's my passion. It's my love to share and hopefully get folks thinking in a different way. And believe it or not, when I do these podcasts, boy, oh boy, they're as much for me as they are for anybody. So, by no means do I stand as the therapist, the pastor, the teacher, the preacher. I mean, I'm a business guy. I've been doing business for 30 years. I've learned a ton of life lessons. I've had relational history up and down. I've had good times and bad times. But I think we all need to hear, especially as men, is we go through certain things that we got to overcome. And we typically can do that with a band of brothers, with guys that are leaning on each other, and we all get inspired by hearing other people's stories as well. So, this week we talked about. I told you I was going to bring you some business, man. I told you this week I was going to bring you an episode that from my own experience, my own automotive experience, and I'm going to tailor this not necessarily to the automotive market because honestly, this applies in any business, in my opinion. But what would be the 5 things I would do to immediately, when I took over a business, to drive sales and revenue and flip that business around in 45 days or less? Right, it's one of those, like, those shows that I can't think of, what they are, but people go into a business and they turn it around in 90 days or whatever the case may be. Literally, there is calculated ways that there are just certain people in the world that know how to go into a place of business and take that thing from 0 to 60 in a matter of moments. My experience has been I mean, I've operated. I should have counted before I speak, but I've operated as a general manager probably at least 12 dealerships. I've owned 3 dealerships, so I took them over from somebody else, right? And you don't acquire somebody's automotive dealership if they're flourishing. Typically, I mean, a lot of guys want to get out of the business and they get a huge multiple and they're trying to cash out. That there is those scenarios, and they've run a good business and they're really getting ready to cash out. Most of the times, you're able to buy an automotive dealership, at least in my world of business, or most businesses for that matter, when they're not doing well. Somebody needs to get out, right? Things are getting painful quickly. So, what would I do? And what's interesting is I wanted to see kind of my acumen to what would Chat GPT say, right? Typed into chat, what would be the 5 ways if you were taking over a business to change it in 45 days or less? And the interesting thing about it, 5 things that chat came up with are not my 5 things. So either chat AI is freaking amazing, or I'm not too smart. I don't know which one, but I know that what I'm going to share with you definitely works. It works for me. And if I took over a dealership tomorrow, or I took over a business, it didn't matter to me if it was not even a dealership. I think the same principles are going to apply. I will say chat did come up with, and I'll quickly go through. They said a thorough business assessment. We're talking about 5 things you would do to change somebody's business, right? You would go in and just flip it upside down in a positive direction to drive sales and revenue. Chat says a thorough business assessment, engage with the key stakeholders, which would be customers and suppliers and partners, revamp the marketing and sales strategy, optimize the talent pool, and innovate and diversify. Now, as I look through that, I actually, and now that I'm just kind of looking at some of the bullet points underneath it, I do have a few things in common here with chat, but for the most part, they're not specifically as they lay them out, and I'm going to lay them out to you in the order that I think is most important. So let's get right into this. Those of you that are interested in building a business, and if you're in sales and you work for ABC Company. Let me just share something with you. You still have your own business within a business. You do have some parameters you have to operate within. There's no doubt you don't have the autonomy, but at the end of the day, if you're in sales, this is all about you. This is all about your growth. This is all about your acquisition of customers. And I'll tell you this, and if someone's listening to the podcast and you're in sales, or you're somebody's general manager or operator, in my mind, there's no reason in the world why you shouldn't have a podcast, right? I mean, if you're somebody in sales, people need to know what you do and where you're located. Who are you? What you do? What do you do? What do you sell? What do you market? What do you push? And it's your responsibility to make sure that there's no obscurity. People need to know who you are, and that doesn't necessarily mean in a vain way or a conceited way or a narcissistic way. You have to promote your business, and you need to promote it in the best way you know how. That's either through the written word, that's either through audibly, right? Like podcast is audible, right? That could be visually, right? You have social media, you have free mediums, you have ways to connect with people, but you got to do it the way it's good for you, right? I mean, I've authored a book, but I'm not the best writer, right? So I don't really write a lot of text when I'm marketing my business, right? I'm more visually, whether it's I'm doing something on TV or video or something audibly, podcast or communicating directly. But nonetheless, let's talk about if we're going to build this business. We're going to take over a business and we know it's struggling and we got to drive sales and revenue fast. So, in the order that I would do it, the very first thing that I'm going to bring attention to is the team. The team, people. That's the very first thing. I go into any existing business, the first thing I'm going to look at is the team. And here's why: you cannot win a championship with a C team. An A team, A players win championships. But too many times in business, what we do is we accept C performance. And then we bitch and moan because we don't have a championship. We don't have A report cards every Friday. You're in the sales game, right? You get your commission checks. You're getting a C check, and you're bitching because you didn't have an A check. But again, you got to look at what level of intention, intensity, urgency, skill level development, which we'll get into, is critical, right? The team, the people. So if you're taking over a business, there's really only two routes to go. You have the pre-existing staff that's in the operation, or you can bring with you already trained individuals that know your process, know how you do business, know your culture, know your vision, right? So for me, I've done it both ways and I've been successful both ways. If you go into a pre-existing operation and you don't know how to teach, coach, and train, you don't know how to set the culture, you don't know how to create the mindset, you don't know how to build rewards, you don't know how to set goals that guys can see and feel, you don't know how to sell, because that's what you're doing, right? When you go into a pre-existing scenario, you are selling the staff who you are, what you're capable of doing, and more importantly, guys, this is what y'all are going to do. This is what you're going to create, and I know you can do it. And I'm going to be right here side by side and support you. So again, the very first piece of the equation is what team members do you have? Again, you got to have A players. Everybody's not going to be an A player. But if you're an A leader, boy, I tell you, you're going to get a lot of A players because A players follow A leaders. No A player wants to follow a C leader, right? Because typically, if I'm following someone that's a C player and they're the leader, chances are good it's going to affect my check, my career path, right? And so again, you want to find the A players on your team, and then even when you find the A players, you still need to make sure that you are developing the strategies and tactics that you employ. So here's what's important. So with the team, culture is critical. What is your culture? What do you stand for? Who are you as an operator? Who are you as a business owner? Are you intense? Do you have urgency? Do you have accountability? Do you manage by numbers? Do you look at the KPIs? Are you an individual that's constantly staying in touch with the people? What vision do you set? Do you even set a vision? And I'm gonna get into an example of what I think is important, what I would do if I go into an operation about setting a vision. Do you have the ability to set rewards up? In other words, does your mind think in terms of here's where we're at, here's where we need to go, and guys, if we do X, Y, and Z, here's what we're going to get. Here's what you're going to get. Okay, what is the mindset? And then you've got the goals, right? You've got all these pieces are critical for buy-in and also the social proof. If you're a leader and you go into a new existing operation and you tell somebody you are going to do something with their help and they're going to create it, and you don't create it in a short amount of time, you lost it. You lost it. Boom, done. One of the most critical things you can put in any operation is momentum. I'm going to get into that because I don't want to just brush over that. Momentum is the key. You need of that momentum. And to do that, you've got to have the social proof. But let's go to quickly before we go into the next one. I want to quickly talk about setting the vision. If I go into an operation, one of the first things I do once I assess my team, I get my players involved. The first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to do a state of the union meeting. Super, super important. Maybe you've worked for someone who's done these. Maybe you don't even know what the hell I'm talking about, but a state of the union meeting. This is where I lay out, okay, I'm new. Let's just take automotive here. We're selling 100 cars a month, guys, and the goal is 250 cars a month. We're going to go up, we're going to raise 150 cars. Immediately, you have a lot of existing staff are going to look and go, okay, here we go. Here comes the Messiah. Here comes the guy that thinks he's going to change. No, 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 no. I'm not going to do anything. Y'all are getting ready to do it. Y'all are getting ready to put forth this effort, and you guys are getting ready to kick this thing in the ass, and you guys are going to get the credit for taking this thing from 100 cars to 250. Not me, you guys. And I'm just going to guide you. I'm going to show you the path. But in order for me to guide somebody, I got to let them know what the vision is. But here's the key. So one of the first things I would do is I would get all team members, right? Front end, back end, accounting, the whole shebang. And we're going to a hotel. We're going to break bread together, right? We're going to sit around and we're going to break bread together, and we're going to have 30 associates, 100 associates. I've done it with as many as 225 associates. We're going to be in a Marriott ballroom, and we're going to put on a PowerPoint presentation, and this presentation has two goals for me personally. I'm going to deliver it. I'm the leader. I'm getting ready to deliver what is going to be the vision of what we're doing. And the first quarter of it, is going to be about the numbers. To me, honestly, it's not even the big thing. You say we're going to sell this much merchandise, this much of our supply. This is going to be our customer service ratings. This is and go through all the indices and all the key performance indexes and all those kind of things. That needs to be happen at a micro level. With a big meeting with all team members, man, they don't care about those numbers. I need to surface hit what's most important, allow my department heads to speak at this meeting, to be a part of what's going on, a little pressure on them to prepare something for this meeting. But three quarters of this meeting. So if it's an hour, 45 minutes of this meeting, if it's 2 hours, literally 130, I mean, an hour and a half of this meeting is going to be about life and behavior change. In other words, I have one agenda. I'm going to give you the vision and the numbers, but baby, let me tell you, the real deal is we want life change. We want behavior change. In other words, for our numbers to increase, our behavior has to change. If we do the same thing we did yesterday or before I acquired this business, we're going to get the same results. And guess what? I didn't buy it to get the same results. So we're going to have to change some behavior. So what I need to do is I need to make them laugh. I need to inspire them, and hopefully I do something that makes them cry. I know you may say to yourself, "What do you mean make them cry?" No, when you get gut level real with somebody, and you're talented enough to convey a story, a message that creates and generates real life response, it's powerful. Real life response to a real life situation. Again, I'm looking for life and behavior change in this facet of the meeting. It's huge and it's greatly important because the whole thing is I want to inspire people. I don't want to motivate people. I'm going to motivate you for a minute, but the motivation is going to last a short period of time. If I can inspire you, if I can infect your spirit, if I can get you thinking, oh my gosh, something is resonating in me, I want to be a part of this. That's what I'm looking for. Once I get the team together, the A players, once I kind of set in stone the State of the Union meeting, once I kind of get things going, now I've got to have ongoing meetings. What does that look like? Well, if I just take the time to put a big meeting together, then the next thing is I've got to put the time to put in a weekly meeting with my department heads. I own the business. I run the business. I am the leader of the business. Therefore, once a week, I need to get around a table with all my guys and gals that are operating these departments. Why? Number one, it's not so much all the numbers and things they bring to the table. I'm already going to know them. It's more important for them to be sharing cross the table with each other in different departments, getting these team members educated that it's not just about sales. It's about supply chains. It's about accounting. It's about the things that need to be done properly within the business organization. Again, I can speak to in terms of automotive, but this is relative to all businesses. Okay. I want to make sure that my department heads are together. And then once we do that on a weekly basis, they become attuned and they start to develop some leadership skills. When I do that meeting on a weekly basis, there'll be times where I'll pass the baton and I'll say, okay, Joe, you're going to hold the manager meeting this week. Huh? What? Huh? What am I going to say? Figure it out, big boy. Figure it out. Why? I want to grow these people, man. I'm trying to grow these people. I'm trying to lead these people to become better people. I want behavior change. I want life change, which means you're going to be uncomfortable, which means I want to push you to a point where you're like, oh shit, I don't even know. Well, figure it out. I'm here to help you though. You ask me questions, I'll guide you, but you've been in enough meetings. You should know how it goes. I want you to run the meeting. These are the small steps that create and maintain A players. Same thing with the sales departments. The management of the sales department need to have daily meetings. Daily, every day, every day, right? Look in the dictionary, daily, it's daily. Same thing like in an automotive dealership, we've got technicians, the guys that work in the service department. There should be a tech meeting every day. What work is scheduled? What work is overflowing? What work do we need to complete? What special parts are we waiting on? This is where everybody's dialed in, not just run them up. right? You want to change a business in 45 days, 60 days, man, you got to start changing the behavior, the thinking, the vision, the thought process, the urgency, the mindset. That's what affects people in a way that changes an operation. And then, of course, we want to talk about where our goals are, right? In other words, we want to let them know, hey, we say we're going to sell 250. Here's where we're at. Here's where we're tracking. Here's where we're going, right? And then, most importantly, you always want to make sure you thank your team members, right, and encourage them, right, because they're doing a great job, right? And if they're not doing a great job, you're going to address that. And I also think, as a leader, you address someone that's not doing a great job behind the scenes, not in front of everybody, right? We don't want to embarrass people. Pull them behind if you're not getting it done. Pull them behind and make that happen. Otherwise, you should be, as a leader, always encouraging and inspiring your people. Thank them for what they're doing well as a group. If we're not getting it done collectively, you can get in somebody's ass as a group. But to identify one guy on your team and expose them, man, there have to be something of massive magnitude for that to happen. Maybe something legally that was, or morally or ethically line that was crossed that I want everybody to understand is not cool. That may be an exception to the rule. For the most part, as a leader, man, you high five, you encourage, you motivate, you thank, and you push, you push. If it's not getting done, pull them behind. Say, hey, brother, you ain't getting it done. You know the standard, you know what we're looking for. And that typically has worked for me in the past. Attitude of the team is critical. And then we're going to cover that here in just a second. So, the first thing, as you're going to affect a business, team is number one. Number two, promotion. And I say promotion before process. Now, again, a lot of people that operate businesses would not subscribe to this thinking. But if there's no prospects, there's no business. More importantly, I go back to what I said before. If I'm going to put myself out there and set a vision, tell you what's about to happen, this company is about to transform, and you guys are going to make it happen. And I'm going to thank you in advance. And here's what we're going to do. We're going to go from here to here. If I don't have social proof of movement in the early days, I'm going to lose them. I'm going to lose them. So promotion is key. You're going to make some mistakes along the way. We're going to put it in process. Process is part of it, but remember, I said promotion before process. Some operators would be like, "Oh gosh, I would never do that. I'm not going to spend money. And these guys don't know how to handle it." Gotcha. I agree with that. I agree with that. We're talking about taking over an existing business. If I've got a business running for a year and a half and I'm spending $50,000 in marketing or $100,000 in advertising, whatever the case may be, and my guys aren't just getting it, yeah, I may rake it back. I'm talking about changing a business that's flat on its ass and taking it from 0 to 60 in 45 days or less. That's what I'm talking about. So again, social proof is key. You'll make some mistakes when traffic comes in, but we're going to put in process. Going back to what I said earlier, momentum is the number one priority that I'm looking for when I want to turn something fast. I'm looking for momentum. So think about this for a second. I'm a football guy. You're watching a football game. How important is the crowd to a home team, right? Pretty critical. Home team that's fired up, that's going crazy, it adversely affects the opponent and it gives energy to the home team. But let's say the home team's down. We're looking for momentum. Home team is down. We've done nothing. We're like, we can't move the football. We're down, 10 to nothing, 14 nothing. The crowd is out of it. We've been in ball games like that, right? We've heard that. We've seen that. We've felt that energy. But then all of a sudden, boom, pick six. All of a sudden, we take a 60 yards the other direction or kickoff return, 73 yards, 83 yards, all the way, take it to the house. What's happening to the crowd? Energy, belief. What happens to the team? You see, what's happening is whether you're in life or you're in business, your frequency is what people see. Let me say that to you again. Your frequency, your vibration, your frequency is what people frequently see. How you walk, how you talk, how you carry yourself. Man, people, you don't have to say a word and somebody can read you. They know what's going on, right? But your vibration and your ability to transfer energy is critical, right? So if you're driving traffic and you're trying to create change and you need social proof and you want momentum, man, it starts with one person. I have seen people go into operations and one guy be the change and the whole place just freaking goes in a 180-degree positive direction. How does that happen? Because it takes one person. It takes one person to change a game. It takes one pick six. Why not you? Why not now? Why not you make that change? Why not you be that person? Because it's available to you. It's available to me. But my excuses, your excuses, the reasons we tell ourselves, "Oh, I don't know if I can do this now. I got this." Look, like I said in the last podcast, I am a master negotiator and closer on my own bullshit. I will rationalize. I will tell myself all kind of stuff in stories when I'm uncomfortable or scared or don't want to move forward, right? But that's the lights on the dash, man. That's the lights. That's the trigger telling me, "Hey, something's up. Let's address it. Let's handle it." And it is hard. It is hard, but you can do it. And it only takes one person. And if you're a leader of yourself, you're a leader of your organization, you can do this. So, two strategies, though, when we're talking about promotion, that's important. And I'm not breaking all this down because I'm gonna go into the next one. But when I'm in a company, I'm looking two things. I'm looking short term, long term. I'm looking for right now business for social proof to get momentum. And then I'm looking for long term retention business. So my mind is working in two different directions. I've got something going on behind the scenes, and I've got something going on currently right now. That methodology has worked out for me in every operation that I've operated. And I know it can work for you as well. So here we go. We got the third one, inventory levels. Stocking and inventory levels. You got to have something to sell, right? So you can put the promotion in place. Mind you, I still haven't talked about process yet. And that's important. But we're talking about getting social proof. We're talking about getting the right players, setting the vision, driving traffic, getting lead opportunities, right? Now we're talking about inventory levels. You got to have something to sell. You can't drive traffic to empty shelves. I don't care what you're selling, product or service, the shelves have to be stocked. You got to have something to sell. This is going to take some business acumen. This is not something you willy nilly. When you're talking inventories, right? When I look at a dealership, and you're talking 10 millions of inventories in new cars, 3 million in used cars. You're talking another 300,000 or half a million in parts inventory. You don't just willy-nilly inventory. You gotta have some skill, some acumen, but you better figure out what your inventory levels are gonna be. You can't just stock anything, right? Like, for example, in a parts department, we've got what's called phase in and phase out reports, right? The system automatically notifies us of what are the fast-moving parts and what has sold in the last 60 days, 45 days, 90 days, whatever parameters we wanna put, and it also tells us what we're stocking that we've got frozen capital stuck on the shelves because it's not moving. You got to figure out what are the reports you need to run, the history reports of sales, right? Maybe in the you're selling certain amount of products. I keep want to say automotive, but I don't want to be so specific to automotive. But if you take automotive, right, you don't want to stock stuff that you have no history of selling, right? You're going to stock $80,000 cars, but you're selling $25,000 cars as your average. Why would you do that? Right? You're going to have frozen capital, and you're going to incur loss because you're going to have to liquidate that stuff, and you never liquidate it for more money than what you paid for it, right? So it's always something to consider. You also want to look at the market day supply or the market supply and what's moving there. Again, if I look in the automotive space, and again, whether it's real estate, all businesses are operating in a very similar fashion. We have what's called Polk reports. I can see in my DMA, my primary market area, what inventory is selling and who's selling it. Right, that's available to everybody. So when it comes to inventory, the stocking levels are critical. You got to have somebody who's sharp, right? Hopefully the leader's sharp. I mean, I look at this stuff myself, but again, there's people smarter than me. So my point is this is a piece that's extremely, extremely important, right? So we work on our team. Number one, after we work on our team, we work on driving traffic to create momentum, right? And get social proof. Number three, we look at the inventory. Got to have the inventory. Here's the fourth piece. You got to have some process. You got to be able to handle the promotion. You got to know how to handle the advertising and the promotion properly. I said first, we drive traffic. Yes, you'll make mistakes. Yes, you won't have enough process in. But my banking is my hopes are if I acquire an existing business, there is some assimilation of process in the building somewhere, right? If I take automotive, there is a sales process when customers walk in the front door, right? I'm going to modify that and I'm going to tailor it to what I think will work best based on my own experience. But in this case, we're talking about make sure you have a tight process. You got to identify when traffic starts rolling in, which is why I do promotion first. Am I driving web traffic? Am I driving traffic from Google? Am I driving more phone calls? Am I driving more people to the service department? Am I driving more people as walk-ins? Where is this traffic coming from? That's the first thing is to identify that so you know what people to put in place so you can start to begin to work on that process. But then also too, you got to segment it and figure out if most of my traffic is coming in on the phones, and I've got most of my staffing to cover customer facing walk-in traffic, I may need to modify that and then put the process in place to make sure that we're handling the calls properly. Look, in the day and age that we live right now, we are getting less service and being paid more for it. Wouldn't you agree? You walk into a Circle K or a 7-Eleven, and you've got 2 people standing behind the counter in this electronic machine now weighing your items that you're buying, and you're checking yourself out. And in some cases, they're asking you to leave a freaking tip. Really crazy. And by the way, that bothers the hell out of me. I don't know if that bothers you guys whatsoever, but I go get something to eat basically it's like almost fast food to a certain extent. I get it, I order it, and then I go pick it up and sit down and eat or take it away. And they're asking me for a tip. Very uncomfortable. A lot of you just would sit there and be like, I ain't paying nothing. But again, we're getting less service and paying more for it. My point is, if you identify who in the world is picking up your phone calls at your establishment and you listen to what is being said or lack thereof, you would probably cringe. Now, in the automotive space, we do this a lot. We listen to phone calls, and as management, we're supposed to listen to them, maybe call customers back. Again, it's another tool, and laziness creeps in, and the managers do not execute like they need to. Granted, are they busy? Yeah, they are. They got stuff going on, but there's nothing more busy than a customer that called in yesterday or the day before, or gave us an internet inquiry on trying to buy something. But again, the process of how we're handling this, is it are the people scripted properly? Who do you allow to answer the phone calls? Do you have a BDC? Do you outsource? These are all part of the process you're gonna have to analyze, right? Process is a relentless pursuit of execution to be maximized. That's why the process is so important. And let me just say this. I've seen many people sell many products with goose egg, no process, like didn't know what the heck to do when they sold something. And I'm sure in your business, whatever business you do, you've seen the same thing. Somebody new starts, they don't get the process dialed in. They end up selling something with a half-ass process. The point is, the process is a relentless pursuit of execution to maximize results. In other words, we put process in place because we're looking to maximize the results. You can get results without process. You're not going to maximize them though. You're gonna have low margins and you're gonna have less sales if you don't work on your process. So the process is number 4, and it's huge. And here's the last piece. This is one that's near and dear to my heart, and I think it's critical. And again, we're talking about flipping a company. We're talking about flipping a situation in 45 days. And if you are an individual sales rep, still remember, you have your own business. Within that business, this is all applicable. You may not be able to control the inventory, but I promise you, as an individual salesperson, I could teach you, coach you, and train you on how you can handle and structure your business like a businessman within the business. Which leads me to this last one, which is training. Training is probably one of the most crucial parts of the business, but the least focused. So why? I mean, think about it. We all want to say, "Oh, if our guys aren't trained," and let me go back to the automotive space. And those that are listening that are in the automotive space, get this: all the great car guys are now general managers or owners or GSMs, and now with the influx of people that we're hiring now, or these new people that younger generation. There's a lot of dynamics that are shifting. The point being is training is more critical, not only for the seasoned person to pick up some new skills because they think they know everything, and they do know a lot, and that's why they're seasoned and they do a pretty good job, but they could always do better, right? So there's got to be some new information and content to help those guys. But then there's also the ground level stuff. But why, if training is such a critical part of the business, why is it the least focused on? Well, number one, it takes time, it takes effort. It takes a level of commitment from management or whoever the trainer is. Hello, most of the time there is not a trainer in the building, because that costs an expense, and God forbid we pay somebody to train somebody, but yet we let the phone calls be handled a certain way or the process go down a certain way. I don't know. And I've been there before, right? I've had my own automotive company, and I didn't hire a trainer. Granted, I would do a lot of training myself, so I would kind of take that personally, but I do understand from an expense standpoint. But really, people look at training expense of, like for example, I've got a training going on December 17th for $399 for sales guys to start off their 2024 year here in Jacksonville. For $399, we look at that as an expense. But if you don't pick up new skills, if you don't go into 2024 more powerful than you were in 2023, how much is that going to cost you to miss sales, to miss process, to miss some ideas on how to prospect new ways, use social media, come up with your own campaigns, drive your own traffic. I mean, again, 390. We think for 390 in today's day and age. I mean, for $300, I mean, we go out to dinner, with your significant other and go to a movie, you're going to drop 200. So, I mean, again, and you get nothing for it. You don't even learn how to sell anything better by doing it. But again, it takes commitment. It takes commitment from the staff. It takes effort from the staff. It takes time for both sides of the staff, the people that are being trained and the ones that have to do the training. It takes a certain level of talent, acumen, content, creativity. Nobody wants to be trained and be bored out of their mind, right, in their business. If you don't have anything that's going to inspire me and get me jacked up and teach me something, don't waste my time. Get that. Again, that takes effort, that takes talent, that takes commitment from upper management to learn or outsource the training. Get your guys what they need. It's not an expense. What's it costing you to not have trained people? Listen to some phone calls. Listen to how that goes, and you'll know. And it also takes some leadership. People, in a leadership position have to make sure that training is a vital part of the organization. There's all kinds of training, right? There's word script training, there's phone training, there's customer service training, there's appointment setting training, there's lead handling training, there's face-to-face training, there's product training, product presentation training, there's actually product knowledge training. If you think about what you're selling, do you know that product forwards and backwards? Do you know it like the back of your hand? Because I can tell you your customer has done the research online, they probably know more about it than you do. And that's a problem. So again, we talk real quick about training. That's the fifth thing. The types of training that I think management can do. That's very, very important. If you're going to do it in house, if you're going to outsource it, call me, call somebody else. It doesn't matter. But if you're going to do it in house, be prepared in advance. Be prepared in advance. And that means give them a handout and a takeaway. Give them something that they're not bored out of their mind. And when they leave there, they can take a nugget away. Role play, right? Reps, practice, drill, rehearse, practice, drill, rehearse, practice, drill, rehearse. They're not getting enough opportunities face to face. So you got to start practicing because otherwise they're practicing on real customers and it's costing you money. It's costing them money. So I think managers need to be examples, right? Manager involvement, which means manager, get the phone, put it on speaker, start making some follow-up calls in front of your sales team. Listen to them, let them listen to you, go through it and set an appointment. Get engaged with a customer and go introduce yourself to a customer and get your ass involved and go do what you do best. You became a manager because you were great at closing, more than likely. You were great at handling the phone. You were great at producing. So show them, teach them. I think, again, types of training, assessments of improvement. Make sure there's some assessments. Here's where you are. Here's where you're at now. Great job. Let's get some assessments going. And, again, I think, even from an individual standpoint, the investment in oneself, if you're not getting the training you need from your staff, if you're not, it is your responsibility. And I know you say, that doesn't make any sense. I work for somebody. It's not mine. They should be, yeah, they probably could and should train you. They could. But I will also say this, you wanna be the best, you wanna be an A player, you wanna rise, in your industry, and more importantly, currently, right now, real time, do you wanna sell more product and make more money for you and your family, so you don't have to work 60 hours to get your paycheck, so you can learn to invest some money and grow yourself to a level that really when you're 45, 55 years old, you never have to work again? If you do, put in the time. You gotta invest. Self-education is way more important than formal education. Again, subscribe to somebody, again, listen to my stuff, come attend my stuff, somebody else's. It doesn't matter. Go figure out what you need to do to grow yourself and get better. Again, the culture to be the best. The last thing I'll say on training is simply this. If you didn't think it was important, you got NFL football players that have been playing football since Pop freaking Warner, since they were little guys, tiny guys. You know what they were doing? High knee drills, tackling drills, running routes. Well, guess what? Now they make millions and they still go to practice and they still have an off season where they're required a certain regimen. And when they go to practice, you know what they do? The first thing they do is they do what we did in Pop Warner. They line up and they start doing calisthenics. They start stretching and then they break off in groups and they do tackling drills. Hold on a minute, man. This guy's making millions of dollars. He's been tackling since he's Pop Warner. He's a millionaire. He's one of the best. Yep, that's right. He's learning how to form tackle, head in the right spot, boom, wrapping up, running through the people, you're running through the object, roll your hips, all the basic fundamentals, right? And the fundamentals can maybe not be that fun every once in a while, but you got to put in the work. You got to put in the work. Look, I can tell you with 1,000 complete certainty I can change a business, and it's only because of my experience and the work that I put in, period. I can't do everything. but this I can do. Okay, so I just want to ask you this final question as we close this thing down. How does this relate to you if you own your own business or you're in someone's business? Are you focused on expansion? Are you focused on growth? Do you really want to make a little more money? Do you really want to become more? Do you really want to achieve more? Look, there's no way to freaking sugarcoat this. We got to stop being lazy minded. We got to stop being physically lazy. There is enough time in the day. There is enough time. I'll give you a quick example. I remember when I was authoring my first book, I didn't really know how to get the thing done, and it dawned on me that if I could just write a page every single day, I'd have a 352 page book written by the end of the year. Now, I didn't want a 352 page book, and I didn't want to write for a year. But what it did teach me was got up at 6 o'clock every morning and I put a book together, and the book took me less than 3 months to write, and the book was almost 200 pages. So there is time for you to make things. You don't have to be lazy minded. You don't have to be physically lazy. You just got to be inspired enough to want something. You got to move your ass in the direction you say you want to go. Right? I mean, you will move. You will move in the destination based on the direction that you put yourself forth. And all of this, again, all of this is going to affect your body, your being, your balance, and your business. Right. The only time that work's going to come before success in any of our lives is going to be in the dictionary, and you've heard that before, and it's so true. I mean, we've got to put in the work. So, look, this message, as I share it, has helped me. It's invigorated me to remind myself of the basic fundamentals of what I need to do. I'm inspiring you guys, excuse me, to do the same. And here, honestly, share this, man. Share this. Subscribe. Catch these every Sunday. Leave a review. Any kind of comments would always help. Always looking in reciprocity. I want to continue to deliver content and things that are relevant to what we go through on a daily basis. Again, share this with somebody. Somebody may need it as well. Until next week, like I leave you every single time. Look, I love you, man. I love you. You got what it takes. I don't care what anyone tells you. You freaking got what it takes. And I'm encouraging you, man, for this next week. Buckle down, get after it. Don't quit. No matter how hard something is, I don't care if it's in your body, your relationships, your spouse, your business. Don't quit. Don't quit. That's the only time failure actually happens is when you quit. So hang in there. Do what you got to do. Have a phenomenal week, and I'll catch you next week on the Louie Herron podcast.